Let's move to the forum where the sanctions have been tightened, which is the United Nations Security Council. And most recently, we've had Security Council Resolution 2094. Um, does the Chinese agreement on this mark a departure from past behavior? Is China shifting through its permission in the Security Council and not blocking or vetoing resolutions?
In one way, I think this is a pattern in response to the first nuclear test in 2006 and the second nuclear test in 2009. China and the United States actually coordinated on those resolutions as well. There was about 3 months of coordinated statements of Beijing and Washington appearing to be on the same page. But the 3 months period, the honeymoon period, it usually doesn't last longer than 3 months. And so we see a reversion back to some of these practices where you see the commercial ties deepening. And not to say that the North Korean state trading companies operating in China are the main reason for this, but certainly if you look at it the broader context, it's interesting to note that North Korea-China trade is growing at a pace that far exceeds inter-Korean trade. And while inter-Korean trade has been held up through different measures in response to the provocations in 2010, even just looking at the China-North Korea trade, in about late 2008, the nature in which it spikes is interesting because in a first sense, those are underreported figures. I think the Chinese government is very sensitive to appearing to be doing booming business with the North Koreans, so there's a tendency to underreport. So the fact that you already see those high rates and those high growth figures, you have to take with a grain of salt because the reality is that they're likely to be much higher. But the other factor is that with that, you see the North Korean entities piggybacking off of the transportation electricity infrastructure that exists in many parts of China. So this is an important coping mechanism. I think there's always this view of whether Kim Jong-Un will be this economic reformer or not. The brutal reality of North Korea is that it's a dilapidated economy. So even to do very modest economic reform, the absence of transportation infrastructure and electricity infrastructure makes some of these economic reform initiatives more of an academic debate rather than a plan to be implemented.